We finally have confirmation on Jonny Howson's future, as yesterday we learnt that he has now officially left Middlesbrough Football Club. What is up, guys? Welcome back to the channel. And yesterday we received the news and the answer to a question that's been on the lips of a lot of fans since the end of last season, and that of course was, what is happening with Jonny Howson? Will he be signing on another contract extension, or has his time at the Boro come to an end? And yesterday we found out that he has indeed left the club and has been released, and seemingly sounds like he has retired. This is what was said on the Boro website. Jonny Howson has played his final game for MFC. The long-serving former captain was out of contract at the end of last season and was not being offered a new deal by the club. The 37-year-old spent 8 years on Teesside and made 341 appearances, scoring 10 goals, and also clocked up his 750th career appearance against Plymouth at the Riverside last season. Despite joining as an attacking midfielder, Jonny featured more prominently in a number of other roles, including midfield anchor, central defender, and right back. Signed by Gary Monk in the summer of 2017, Jonny also served under Tony Pulis, Jonathan Woodgate, Neil Warnock, Chris Wilder, and Michael Carrick. His versatility and composure were a joy to behold. As a club captain, he led by example. MFC would like to thank Jonny for his wonderful service, commitment, and dedication, and wish him all the best in the future. Jonny will return to the Riverside in the coming months to say farewell to the supporters. Now, as soon as I saw this news drop, I instantly just thought, oh no, because Boro fan base and just the world of Boro at the minute isn't exactly the happiest, isn't exactly the prettiest, with us, of course, looking like we might be losing Rav van den Berg and yet to have actually signed anybody. So it's not exactly a happy place to be at Boro right now, with not much to be optimistic. You then see another player who come in last season and has proven time and time again is one of the most reliable hands you can rely on to come in and do a job. Jonny Howson has also now left the club. Pair that with the fact he is an incredibly beloved figure amongst Boro fans. My first thought when I saw this news was, oh no, if World War III hasn't already kicked off, it's going to kick off now. And as we expect, there is a lot of sadness about this news. Now, my opinion is that I share the sadness that Jonny Howson's time at Boro has come to an end, as it mentioned there. The amount of managers he's worked under, the sheer number of years that he has committed to this football club, the amount of appearances that he's made. He has been undoubtedly a top professional and an incredible servant for Boro. And it is sad to see that his time here has come to an end. However, I do feel like it is the right thing to do and that Boro have made the right decision here. Now, that doesn't sound correct and isn't justified given Boro's current position, and that is why the timing of this, and I guess the whole context surrounding Boro right now, this isn't as good of a look as it probably would have. But for me, I think just looking at this in isolation, Jonny Howson moving on, I think it's the right thing to do. Because let's be honest, if Boro want to live in an ideal world, if we want to have an ideal squad that has midfielders in the Championship who are playoff to top end quality, same in defence, same at fullback or wherever else, we should not have to rely on a 37-year-old Jonny Howson to step in and do a job for us. I think that is more an issue with Boro than anything else. We shouldn't have to rely on Jonny Howson at this moment in time if we are serious about getting promoted or finishing in the playoffs. So in an ideal world, we shouldn't need Jonny Howson. Plus, as it alluded to, he signed at a time where Boro was spending an absolutely ridiculous fortune on players, overpaying players as well. So you'd imagine Howson's wage hasn't dropped since 2017. I mean, if it has, it won't have dropped by much. He will absolutely still be one of, if not the highest earners at the club. And I think for a 37-year-old, that is just simply not efficient. It's not sustainable. It's not right, especially when in an ideal world, he's not going to be starting every week. You know, if Hackney and Morris stayed, he wouldn't get into Boro's midfield. And with Rav, Lenihan, Edmondson, Fry, maybe Alfie Jones and whoever else at centre-half, Neto Borges, he shouldn't really be playing in one of the 3 centre-back positions either if that's the way we go. So he would be a very, very expensive 3rd, 4th, 5th choice in midfield, no defence. So that's why I think this is absolutely the right choice. But it's still really sad to see, to have spent so long at a football club and go through as much as what he has done here, the number of managers, the ups, the downs. Not once has Jonny ever not gave his absolute all for this football club, and I would say he is a top servant. I wouldn't say a legend. I've seen that word get thrown around a lot, and I think legend is quite an overused word, and I think because it's been overused so much, it's kind of become a little bit diluted. I wouldn't call him a legend per se. A Boro legend for me is someone who has achieved something great, whether it be promotions or trophies or, did well for us in the Premier League, for example, or in the late 80s when we were coming out of that, initial liquidation phase in 86, the players who sort of brought us back from the brink, they're the people I consider legends. I wouldn't say Jonny is a legend, but I would say he is an incredible role model and someone who all young players should aspire to be like, the way he kept his body in incredible condition to play as well as he did. He is just a role model and has been brilliant for the Boro, and it is a shame to see him go, albeit I think head over heart it is the right thing that Boro have done. The one reason why it maybe looks a little bit bad is because we haven't signed anybody, and as I say, Boro could do with as many bodies as possible right now, because I have no idea why we're not bringing anybody in. So I don't think Boro could have helped the timing of this. We'll get on to what he's doing next in a minute. So I don't think they could have helped the timing of this. I think maybe it has just took this long for Jonny to actually have a clear path as to what he wants to do next. But regardless of timing, even if it's the correct decision or not, or whether the timing of it could be helped, it's not exactly a great look for Boro at the moment when we clearly need depth in the team and we're letting somebody go and we've not signed anybody. I think had we already gotten our midfield in order, defence in order, made a number of signings, reassuring signings that made Boro fans confident that the squad was in a very good position going into the season, you could then drop the release of Jonny Howson and I think people would go, okay, yeah, we're good. We've got our own house in order. We're happy to move on. But to see this news drop when there's already so much frustration, anger amongst Boro fans right now at the lack of movement in the transfer window, this just sort of adds fuel to the fire. It's almost like even if Boro couldn't help it, they've kind of accidentally poured gasoline onto an already burning fire at this moment, and it's just upset fans even further. So what I would say is Boro need to justify this decision to not give him a new deal and prove that they can get the players in to replace him. As I say, we will have recouped, I think, a decent amount of the wage bill without Howson signing on that can go on a number of new signings. So I think there will be a slight financial gain to this for Boro if we do bring new signings in. But we certainly have to now, the club have to justify this decision by replacing Howson with bodies. And I think just in general to increase the morale amongst Boro fans, they've got to pull a finger out and get moving on transfers. I don't know what on earth is going on with the lack of movement. I went from, obviously, back end of last week starting to panic. I'm now starting to get a little bit wound up and frustrated by it, and I'm trying my very best not to. So if they want the fans to get on side and be up for the new season and for the atmosphere to be bouncing in the Riverside on that opening day against Swansea, they're going to have to do something. They can't expect in the position we're in at the moment for fans to just be excited and optimistic when, in terms of the squad, there's not much reason to be. So the club have to now do their bit to get fans on side and get us hyped, because it is at the minute, it just seems like it's bad news after bad news after bad news. But anyway, another reason as to why I'm not mad at this decision on Jonny Howson is that he has moved on and has gone back to Leeds United to be an under-21s player coach. And I'm delighted for him if that's the way he wanted to go. As I said, there were conversations between Boro and Howson. They opted not to give him a deal. That might be because Jonny didn't want to stay. Let's not completely just throw this at the club and say they've treated him badly or whatever. They are going to give him a chance to come back and say goodbye next season. And maybe they did potentially chat to him about his future, and he thought that his chapter here at Boro was over and done with, and maybe he did just want to go into coaching. Maybe he did want to go back to Leeds United, which is his club. I think it's his hometown club, or a club that he come through at anyway. It's a club very close to his heart, and I believe he lives in Harrogate. His family are close there. I think it just works, perfectly for Jonny's family if he goes back to Leeds and starts his coaching journey in the same place he started his playing journey. And I've got no gripe with him doing that. If, Leeds are his club at the end of the day, it gives him a secure first step into coaching. It secures the next step for him and his family, when, of course, it can be quite daunting when a player comes out of their playing career. What's going to be next? Can they still financially sort of keep things going? I can imagine it can be a stressful, big step going from playing into coaching, but Jonny's taking one that I'm sure is incredibly comfortable for him and a great starting step for him in his coaching life. So we will see him next season at the Riverside, and maybe one day we will see him back at the Riverside in a coaching capacity too. But for me, the right decision overall. Hopefully the wage bill can be reinvested into the team, but I mean, I'm sick of saying that this summer when absolutely nothing's happened yet, so I'll believe that when I see it. But as for Jonny and this in isolation, I just want to say a huge thank you to Jonny Howson for everything he gave this club. It is quite sad in a way that his 8 years, at the Boro didn't end in a promotion. I think his commitment to the club warranted and deserved it to end with a promotion, so it's such a shame that it didn't in the end. But as I say, a fantastic servant, one that will be massively, massively missed, and I, along with I think all the other Boro fans, wish him very well in the next step in his career. But that is it for today's video, guys. If you've enjoyed it, hit a like on the video, subscribe for more, hit the bell too so you never miss when a video drops. We will be keeping tabs on anything that might happen at Boro. If anything does happen at Boro, apparently the Rav Vandenberg deal is not as far forward as we thought. To Feyenoord, Alfie Jones seems imminent, but there's not much else happening, which just over 2 weeks to go till the season starts is not exactly promising, is it? So pull your finger out, Boro. Pull your bloody finger out. But until next time, guys, I'll see you all in the next one.